I'm sure very many people are waiting to watch. It's Saturday, so people are at home and they want to join us. Good evening and welcome to this edition of KTN Friday Briefing. My name is Pacquiao.
I'm Kalembe Ndile.
All right, he is Kalembe Ndile and he is our guest anchor tonight. It's so great to have you in studio.
Thank you.
How was your Labor Day?
It was fine.
It was fine?
Yes.
Just fine?
Yeah, it was, to me it was fine because the president increased 12%.
But is that really something to smile about? Isn't it too little?
Yeah, something to take home.
It's something to take home. Well, trust you've had a great day, a great Labor Day. If you haven't, we have a newly appointed board member of the Water Services Regulatory Board, something that, has taken the country by storm. You have been, out in the cold, so to speak, but now it's like umeletwa kwa joto kidogo.
No, I wasn't in the cold. I was just doing my normal work. So it wasn't about coordinate.
Okay.
I think it was about working together.
Working together.
After going through the general election, you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do for the next 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah.
And, I'm very curious about something. Disappointments. Is it President Uhuru Kenyatta who calls you and says, would you like to take this on? Is it you who calls State House and says, ukunje kuna baridi kidogo, nionekania uko ndani? Because, I mean, how does it work?
I think it's they have a team because I knew it before, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure which docket. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be talking a lot about this particular subject, and of course, what has he been up to? And of course, he's going to get to read the news for us. Are you excited about that? Let me tell you something. He has his script ready in his pocket here, practicing. All right. So he's going to. How do you think that will go?
I will try.
You will try?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
All right, so our big question tonight, we're going to do things a little bit different tonight because it's Labor Day and we're relaxed. But so we want to ask you, what is it that you'd want Kalembe Ndile to answer? What question is it that you'd want like him to address? Of course, the hashtag on Twitter is Friday Briefing, or of course at Pacquiao, and also our number is 22155. Tweet me, text me those questions, and of course he's going to get to answer those questions when we get to sit down on the couch and have a little bit of chit-chat. But for now, let's begin with the highlights.
Personally, I've refused to collect rent and I told them to leave. Mimi mwenyewe nilifunga hiyo factory miaka 3 iliyopita.
Just own up and tell them that you didn't know the extent of damage which was going to do to those people.
New document reveals the lie in the ownership of Mombasa-led poisoning factory.
Msipende, governor ni kidero, miaka ingine kikuja vile nimesema, Sonko akisimama mtamchagua.
This man Sonko, why President Uhuru was angry with Nairobi senators' supporters.
We know for sure and we are convinced that in your jacket, in your suit, international suit you are wearing, there is something good for these workers.
Mwaka huu tuongeze by another 12% the basic minimum salary of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Na hiyo wengine watasema huko, lakini mimi hiyo ndio tumesema.
What does the worker gain from his toil? The minimum wage token. And if any kind of work is work, would you work in a graveyard?
That's just a tip of the iceberg. Our sign language interpreter is William Silla. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has lashed out at leaders he says are hell-bent on undercutting those in office. While speaking in the presence of court leader Raila Odinga, the president said such leaders should respect those in office and accept to be led as they await their chance to contest for top leadership positions. KTN senior political reporter Sam Ogina covered Uhuru Kenyatta's Labour address.
A tough-talking president took jabs at leaders he claims are undermining those elected in leadership positions. Shooting straight, Uhuru aimed at the Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko, who has launched a campaign to topple the city governor, Dr. Evans Kidero.
Waacheni hiyo mambo yenu ya Sonko bwana. Wacha niwaambie kitu kimoja. Leo hii mupende msipende, governor ni Kidero. Miaka ingine ikikuja vile nimesema, Sonko akisimama mtamchagua. Hiyo ni haki yenu.
The Nairobi senator is leading an elaborate team that is rivaling service provision by the Kidero-led Nairobi County government. But is Sonko's antics antagonizing his one-time buddy and president?
Lakini leo hii, heshimu yule ambaye amekalia. Nyinyi ndio mlimchagua, sio mimi. Wacha amalize kazi yake, tuendelee mbele.
Not long ago, a section of leaders in the president's ruling coalition from Nairobi County blasted the flamboyant senator for his demeanor against the county governor.
Ile tulikuwa na shida na governor, nilipigiwa simu na president na deputy wakaniambia, Shebesh, stop the drama. Your Excellency, mimi nilisikiza, I stopped the drama, nikawacha vipindi na masinema. Ni kweli? Sasa kuna yule bado anaendelea na drama na hajasikiza president. President amesema stop the drama. Let us all do the work we are elected to do.
Lazima Nairobi iwe na watu wazima, watu wana mwelekeo. Sababu, Your Excellency, you have money, I have money, many people have money. Lakini ukiona mtu anasema ana pesa, unjue yeye hana pesa, labda ni ya kuiba. Hakuna pesa inatangazwa hapa barabarani. Pesa ngapi ina president wa nchi hii? Mumeona akisema na rescue na mambo ingine ya upuzi ya kudanganya watu.
In the same breath, the opposition was also taken to task for its perennial criticism of government in executing its watchdog role of checking government. The president saying criticism without offering alternative solutions not helpful in moving the nation forward.
Inawezekana kama tutaweza kufanya kazi pamoja kama viongozi. Yatafanyika kama tutaweza kufanya kazi tukiheshimiana na tukijua ya kwamba uongozi wakuja leo na kesho utakuwa na mwingine. Na kama wewe utataka kuheshimika kesho, heshimu wale ambao wako leo.
The Uhuru administration has been under scrutiny in dealing with security matters, appointment of state officers among other crucial decisions. The opposition always on the warpath with the states.
But let me emphasize one point, that when we talk about our nation, we must talk about it positively in terms of how we can make this nation better for all of us. When we talk about this country, it is easy to criticize. It is much harder to do. Let us be on the path of doing.
Uhuru now says he's done talking and shifts into acting to improve the socio-economic infrastructure in the country and should be judged by his performance. Sam Ogina, KTN.
Millions of casual workers in the country will benefit from a 12% minimum wage increment, which, however, fell short of what KOTU had demanded. The increment comes hot on the heels of a rise in the cost of living. KTN's Abby Agina explains what 12% really means for workers.
When Kenyans turned up to mark this year's Labor Day celebrations at Uhuru Park in Nairobi, many came with the expectation that the government would give in to the 20% minimum wage increment they have been demanding for. And not even the outspoken Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli could convince the president, but he still reached out.
We are convinced that in your jacket, in your suit, international suit you are wearing, there is something good for these workers. Ama niseme namna gani? Naambia rais, mimi huenda Ulaya. Hiyo suti amevaa sio mchezo. Suti ya bei. Na ndani yake najua katika kile kibeti chake leo na amefika yeye mwenyewe. Mambo ya minimum wage angalia, tukiangalia ya kwamba inflation rate na mambo ingine ya maisha imepanda sana. Na hata kama tuko na shida ya uchumi, ni shida yetu sisi zote.
This jacked the president into considering the plea being made by workers.
Tumesema ya kwamba mwaka huu tuongeze by another 12% the basic minimum salary of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Na hiyo wengine watasema huko, lakini mimi hiyo ndio tumesema. Na hata ndugu Atwoli akisema tusiongee mambo ya productivity, lazima niongee kidogo nimwambie ndugu yangu, tuseme ukweli, tumeongeza ni kweli kwa sababu tumeongeza kulingana na the cost of living.
So what does this increment mean? Well, the 12% increase means if a casual laborer earns a wage of 10,000 shillings, they will take home an extra 1,200 shillings, raising their pay to 11,200 shillings. The increment will benefit workers who are purely casual laborers. This comprises of workers who earn a daily or monthly wage and are working mainly in the construction, agriculture, among other service sectors. Some feel the increment is better than nothing.
Sisi tunafurahia sababu maisha yetu itakuwa nyororo na itakuwa maisha mazuri. Kwa vile sisi Mkenya mahali tumetoka mahali ngumu na tunaelekea mahali ngumu. Sababu mshahara ikiwa kidogo, mwananchi hawezi kujimudu ama mfanyikazi.
Wale watu wanatuajiri, wanatunyanyasa na hawalipi kodi. Wale wanaongea hawalipi kodi. Mimi naweza kuambia the total tax evasion 2012-2014 it goes to almost 8 trillion. Hiyo sio pesa kidogo.
Employers, on the other hand, called on the government to lower the cost of doing business to enable them pay better wages to workers.
We are currently grappling with high and unsustainable labor costs, which not only limit the capacity of the public sector to implement development projects, but also reduces the ability of the private sector to expand and create more jobs.
So let us move as a nation from saying that we shall only be increasing salaries because of the cost of living. We want to increase salaries because our productivity as a nation has also increased. This is the way we must go.
Well, the increment in the minimum wages is said to be a big relief to many Kenyans who have continued to grapple with the high cost of living. But the question is, for how long will they continue to depend on these temporary measures? Abiagina, KTN at Uhuru Park.
Now, talking about workers striving to earn a living, have you ever wondered what it is like to buy a smoky or a boiled egg from someone who couldn't hear you or speak back? Well, in Kakamega, there are 10 deaf traders who are well known and well loved for their hard work. We bring you their story that shows how alike we are despite our differences.
If you want a smoky or a boiled egg here just next to Muliro Gardens, it's your hands that will do the talking.
At first you wouldn't know they're deaf, but you'll know because they're not responding by word of mouth. They do actions, they are very polite, and you just end up understanding them. The services are good.
I happened to meet these 10 good customers here in Kakamega. They're asking me for a job. Since I did have a job to give them at that moment, we came up with the idea as a company to buy them trolleys and give them our sausages, that is smokies, at a very, very low price. I started with 2 guys. In a week's time, the guys are multiplied to 4, and we are currently having 10 of them. These guys are hardworking. They are doing a good job.
Joseph Beo, a sign language instructor based at Kakunga Special School in Kakamega, will help me tell their story. He says when someone deaf or hard of hearing trusts you, the first thing they will give you is their name. On this day, they are 7, all in their 20s. The single ones are Weekly Fondari, Clement Cavailo, and Francis Kwalanda. Edwin Ambani, Cornelius Juma, Dennis Sisia, and the Iron Lady Isabel Ileche are already taken. Edwin Ambani is the most eager to share.
But I went to school, taken to a special school when my mom discovered that I was hearing impaired. But in the beginning, when I was still young, I had a dream of doing mechanical work. But now that I'm in that state, I have accepted my job. Most deaf people find a business a hard job, but we in Kakamega here, because of our unity, we find ourselves coping up very well with the other people.
Isabel is a mother of 1. She sees herself doing this for quite some time.
Business was my dream even when I was still young. But I'm happy when I got this one of selling smokies and eggs, I feel comfortable.
They changed their location to sell to more people. On average, a day's work brings in 500 to 800 shillings. This can suffice for their needs. It's not easy for them to articulate their challenges in a world where the silent shouts are ignored. James Mburu says there are plans to support them fully by giving them factory and bookkeeping training skills that will sustain them past their prime.
They are quite good, just like the other people. I would only ask the other employers, they should give these guys first priority when they come to them, because they will never disappoint you.
Work, good. You, love, smoky. Well, they love their job selling what we'd call smoky mwitu or even eggs mwitu, and they'd love for their customers to learn very basic sign language, say things like yes or even thank you or welcome. For KTN, I am Dorcas Wangira.
Thank you very much, Dorcas, for that very interesting story. Well, today is a day to talk about workers' issues. And as a worker, are you aware of your rights and the safety regulations around your workplace? Are you exposed to dangerous materials or chemicals? And how much has your employer done to protect you? Well, KTN's Patrick Amimo now reports on how some high-risk working environments are managed.
Crown Paints Kenya has been in operation for more than 50 years. The company now produces 2.3 million liters of paint per month. At the factory, workers are provided with rubber gloves, gas or dust masks, goggles and leather aprons depending on the work environment. It's also mandatory for employees to wear safety boots while inside the factory. All these measures are meant to ensure safety and health of staff.
From the comprehensive risk assessment, we were able to identify the specific risks and hazards in every particular process and function. We'll be able to identify a particular protective equipment which is suitable for that particular purpose.
There is signage at various points warning employees of possible risks they could be exposed to and how to protect themselves against them. The dust masks protect staff against inhaling dust. Eye goggles guard against accidental paint spillage into the eyes. An eye washer is located within reach, just in case chemicals accidentally get into one's exposed face. Staff also get regular breaks in between work.
We provided breaks for the staff because we do not want to expose our staff to continuous exposure to these chemicals. Use interludes. They assist the staff for getting fresh air from outside and also relaxing because we don't want them to be stressed.
Last year, Crown Paints Kenya received an ISO certificate 18001 for occupational health and safety management systems. On Tuesday this week, the company emerged fourth in a competition on health and safety that was organized by the Ministry of Labour, in which surprisingly only 12 companies participated.
Most organizations fear participating in socials, but for us we voluntarily participated in that so that we can be able to also benchmark our performance in terms of legal compliance.
At the Mabati Rolling Mills factory in Mlolongo, safety and health measures for employees are enforced.
We ensure that, one, before they start working, they undergo a safety training and induction, which is mandatory. Once an employee has been engaged, he undergoes through that process. After that, after he has been signed off from safety that he has been trained, then he is taken through a physical orientation of the work to be done. Then during that process, he is also informed of the hazards which are there.
The coater room is probably the high health risk area in the factory. The paint used for coating has a pungent smell. Consequently, staff are provided with air respiratory protection equipment which supplies air to the wearer from a clean source out of the working area.
We make sure that they work only 4 hours. Then after 4 hours, another employee comes in. We encourage them to drink a lot of water. Apart from a lot of water, we also provide them with the 500 milliliters of milk at the end of every shift.
Iron sheets have sharp edges that could expose workers to cuts. Employees are provided with strong leather gloves to check against cuts. They also have protective headgear to guard against objects that may fall accidentally. The law demands that employees working in manufacturing, mining, construction, agriculture and similar production industries should be subjected to periodic medical scrutiny through clinical, biological monitoring or medical tests to minimize health risks.
We also do annual medical tests to all the employees just to make sure that we are operating as per the requirements of the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
So for us as an organization, we've been able to take one doctor who is approved and be able to carry out the medical examination to all the workers.
The Occupational Safety and Health Act is meant to ensure that workers operating in industries and factories have their health and safety measures in place to ensure that their life is not at risk. Patrick Amimo, KTN, Nairobi.
Interesting insights as we mark Labor Day. Well, moving on to an unfortunate news item. 3 people lost their lives following a road accident on Kangunda Road, Nairobi. Well, the early morning accident involving a minibus and a public service van happened near Kamulu area. Well, according to eyewitnesses, the driver of the minibus heading to town was trying to overtake a saloon car along the road when it collided head-on with the oncoming matatu that was headed to Tala. The Kayole OCPD Ali Nuno confirmed that the 3 casualties died on the spot, while 17 others were taken to Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital with serious injuries.
What I want to tell motorists is that they should be very careful when driving along these roads, more so during the rainy season. And they should exercise a lot of caution. Issue of overspeeding or overtaking recklessly definitely comes with cost.
Former U.S. President Bill Clinton says more needs to be done to ensure the girl child is able to access education. Speaking in Nairobi today, Clinton pledged to stop at nothing to improve learning and leadership opportunities for young women and girls across the globe. The president and his daughter Chelsea Clinton, who is also the vice chair of the Clinton Foundation, were visiting the Farasi Lane Primary School in Nairobi. This is part of a 9-day tour of projects in Africa supported by the Clinton Foundation.
And then the last thing is that what you can do is to make sure you don't do anything yourself, like keeping girls out of secondary school to restrict opportunity. You really want everybody to be educated. There is not a difference between what is academic education and what is practical education. The two go hand in hand in the best world.
Right, we're just about to take a short commercial break to pay the bills. But before then, when we started the bulletin, I introduced you to my guest anchor, Mr. Kalembe Ndile, also known to many as Mwana wa Squad. squatter, meaning child of a squatter. Well, he has very, very interesting insights on whether he's still Mwanawa squatter. And of course, if you have any other question that you'd like to ask him, I'm seeing very many questions here. And of course, I'll be asking him this particular questions. Do send any questions you have to the number 22155 or hashtag Friday Briefing, and I'll be sharing them with him in a short while. For now, let's take that short commercial break. We'll be back in a short while with Mr. Kalembe Ndile. Welcome back to KTN Friday Briefing. Thank you very much for staying with us. As you can see, we're now on the hot seat, as I'd like to call it, with our guest anchor, Kalembe Ndile. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I want to know, where have you been? It's until recently that we started seeing your pictures on newspapers, on the internet. But where have you been?
You see, after general elections and you know, after the petition, I went back to my normal business.
What's normal?
You know, okay, I'm a contractor, and also I am a farmer.
A farmer. What do you farm? Sorry if I seem like I'm meddling, but I'm interested.
Mango, I grow mango.
Okay. Yeah. And especially in Ukambani,
in Ukambani as well, yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. But then the thing is, for a long time, we used to hear Kalembe Ndile. Kalembe and squatters was like one and the same thing. What happened? We no longer see in the news, fighting for these people. Were they finally resettled? Because you were known as Mwanawa squatter. Yeah,
I tried to settle 1,000 families, and the remaining 2,000 families are still at the squatter camps. And when you are not in parliament, you can do little. Because now the question is, if I start visiting like the offices, people will ask, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And you have been out of parliament. Yes.
So, I mean, how has it been for you being out of parliament? Do you watch sometimes parliament and the proceedings, then you feel like, no, if I was there, I would have done this differently?
Yeah, I could have done better.
What exactly?
Because at the moment, what parliament is doing is a big shame.
What exactly is that?
The scandals. And at this time of insecurity, they should have dealt with the laws which can bring to an end insecurity by asking. For the example, I saw somebody who was taken to court and he was freed on bond, and he was charged having a grenade. And to me, that person, where he got that grenade, will go back and
get some more.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying if you're in parliament, you would have done more in terms of security. Yeah. What else? Because there's a time I saw you saying that if you're in parliament, the time that we had women being stripped, you would have done something about it. I saw it on your Twitter page.
Yeah, you come up with good laws which protects women also, and many more. You see, if you see what is happening in parliament, even it was a shame the way the security bill, the way they interacted with because the chaos and the fight, they were like former councillors, and even the councillors are better than them.
One and the same thing as MCAs. What we see these days with the MCAs.
No, MCAs are better off than parliament. Because you saw what happened and how they were shedding the speaker. You see, sometimes when the MCAs, but let me call them former councillors, what they used to do was they fought among themselves, but they never touched the speaker. But now it was like there was no order. It was like a shame.
All right. So we'll come back to this particular conversation, but I want us to shed light on another top story that we have been following for you with John Alanamu, and of course we'll come back to Kalembe Ndile in a short while. But Nyali Member of Parliament Hezron Awiti Bolo spent a lot of time this past Wednesday defending himself against claims of his involvement with metal refinery EPZ, the lead smelting factory. The waste from his factory has killed dozens and poisoned hundreds in the village of Owino Uhuru, situated next to it. Bolo even claimed that some of the sick children featured in the Inside Stories Plague for Profit were not from the area. However, documentary evidence has now emerged, proving a direct link between the embattled MP and the killer factory. KTN's John Alan Namu has the new details that include the name of yet another member of parliament.
Three busloads of supporters, a 2-hour press conference, come political rally, and one message.
If you build houses or premises, there are many, surely, can you know the person rent your house to know what he's doing inside there? Can you know? You can't know.
Nyali Member of Parliament Hezron Awiti Bolo's attempt to distance himself from proof that he was a partner of the owners of metal refinery EPZ, a lead smelting plant whose waste has caused untold suffering to thousands of residents of Owino Uhuru village in Mombasa.
Like now here, I'm a member of parliament. Wale mnauza hapa, wanaweza kuuza hata changa. Mimi nitajuaje wanauza changa?
But can he distance himself from this? In an attempt to clear itself over apparent complicity in the pollution of the environment at Owino Uhuru, officers within the Public Health Office availed these documents to KTN. They indicate that not only was Awiti Bolo the owner of the land upon which the smelting plant sat, he was, at one point, its executive chairman. The role of an executive chairman in most companies is reserved for an individual who plays an oversight role in the company, but also makes decisions about the day-to-day operations of that company. An executive chairman would also be a key signatory to any financial transaction made by that company and can draw a salary from the company. In essence, Hezron Awiti Bolo is not only the co-owner of the property on which metal refinery EPZ was built, benefiting from rent collected, but he was also deeply involved in the day-to-day running of the same company. Therefore, Awiti Bolo as executive chairman cannot claim this.
Surely, can you know the person rent your house to know what he's doing inside there? Can you know? You can't know.
The documents, with dates ranging from 2010 to 2011, are correspondence between the then Ministry of Public Health and Hezron Awiti Bolo over a 2009 closure of the metal refinery, pending its fulfillment of various safeguards within the factory, the most important of which being that the factory did not have a proper waste disposal system. The documents availed to KTN have Awiti Bolo's first correspondence with the Provincial Director of Public Health, Dr. Anissa Omar, saying that the factory had complied with all the demands made by the ministry and that John Dongo, the then Kilindini Public Health Officer, had inspected the factory. The correspondence continues into 2010, with Bolo again writing on behalf of Metal Refinery EPZ, referring to the factory's plans to dispose of the toxic waste created by the metal refinery and approvals from Public Health and NEMA to reopen the factory. On the 17th of June 2011, the narrative changes. This letter, also signed by Awiti Bolo as the metal refinery's executive chairman, is the company's response to yet another closure order issued this time by Public Health, not because of the internal functions of the factory, but over claims of dumping of waste at a seasonal river in Jomvu. This is the water pan in question, one that, at the time of our investigation, was found to have been a dumping site of another refinery. But according to the Ministry of Public Health, Metal Refinery EPZ, under the executive chairmanship of Hezron Awiti Bolo, also dumped lead waste here. Tests conducted by Quality Control Company, SGS, for KTN's Inside Story and Jicho Pevu found that the area
Right, we'll get back to that particular report by John Allen Nam, of course, giving us the developments following that inside story piece, Plague for Profit, in a short while. But for now, let's get back to our guest anchor. And of course, so many questions coming in from you, and I'll be taking a look at them in just a short while. But I want us to talk about this new appointments. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you've obviously accepted it, right? Because yes. You can tell President Uhuru Kenyatta, no thank you.
There is a Kiswahili saying which says that mchagua jembe si mkulima. So I have accepted.
You've accepted.
Yes.
All right. But the thing is, this appointment comes with a lot of controversy because people are saying that he chose to recycle politicians. What's your comment on that?
I don't think so, because to serve in a board doesn't mean that it's a full-time work. So it's like you are coming together to you are not the implementers. You are like the watchdog. So I don't think it's any youthful person who has come out of university is supposed to just meet once a week and just go home.
But
so to me, I think somebody who has that energy should be doing that. Like in an organization, we have like three levels, like the workers and the managers and the top managers. So in a board, you are supposed to be the overseer. So I don't think.
But don't you think? I mean, young people, we have very many brilliant minds in Kenya who would do maybe better than what you will be able to do, considering that you've been around for a long time, giving young people this opportunities, because we have young people, close to 70% of young people in Kenya are unemployed.
Okay, I went through the list, but there's young people who have been given a job, like the sports chairman is Muteti, I think is 30, 32. So it was a mixture. And, I think also you don't ignore experience so that you don't make an informed decisions. Yeah.
But how then are the young people supposed to get this, these jobs that President Uhuru Kenyatta once promised them if, the lion's share is given to people who've been there for such a long time?
But to serve in a board is not like a job. It's like you are volunteering yourself because you don't even earn salary. You earn an allowance. So I don't think it is a full job. Yeah.
Do you think the youth in Kenya are properly represented in this particular government?
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
Because I have talked about Muteti was given sports, which is a youth driven. And also there's this guy who was a musician.
You're talking about Jaguar?
Jaguar, he was given a job.
That's just, a very small number compared to what we've seen in the other appointments.
I don't think so, but I think the president balanced. But if you talk about the whole, old people, I'm 50, 51 now. And those who are complaining, like Raila Odinga is over 70, so I think they should ask themselves whether they are the ones who should quit. Because I think we have energy, which I think we are ready to serve the country.
And what will you bring to the table in this particular board?
Depending on what I'm supposed to do, but I will be just wanting to ask to know simple questions, like why is it that 1 liter of water is expensive than petrol, which comes from abroad, then the process of refinery, transport, and then it is like if you want to buy a bottle of water, 1 liter is more than 100, and now petrol is less. Why is it that water is more costly than petrol? So those answers will be, I will be seeking to know why, what happens. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is saying, watch this space for for us to see what you'll be able to achieve.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit of politics. What happened to Tip Tip? Tip Amani
Tip is still intact.
Is it?
We have one elected member of parliament. In fact, the member for the place of Mudama is a chief member. We have more than 27 MCS. Yeah. Okay. Even in Migori, we have MCS. In Machakos, in Makueni, we have like 5. Yeah.
All right.
So the party is still intact.
Someone here asked a very interesting question. Felix Okemo on Twitter says, Kalembe, now that you have been given this particular government position, will you support Jubilee in 2017 as tip-tip?
I think that is what we are gearing. Because at the end of the day, we should ask ourselves whether it was smooth in court. And the answer, it wasn't smooth. Because some funny decisions were made without consultation, including when people say that we are together, we as parties, as partners, and someone goes to appeal to the electorate to elect, you know, the 3-piece. What does that mean? So it wasn't comfortable in court because sometimes we disagreed. But the decision was coming from just one place. And if you have seen recently, what Angula was complaining the other day, that things are being done in backdoor. So to me, I think it will be something else. And also, we should ask ourselves one question. You know, Uhuru was just, according to the rank, he was just lesser rank, comparing with the Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, and Kalonzo was Vice President. And the question is, Ruto was just a small person, but they came to power. What went wrong? That is the question or the ODM and CORD should ask themselves. They should ask themselves. Because they, you know, according to them, and we are telling them, you know, this is not the way you think. But it's like they won. They have already won. So you're saying come 2017, you will support President Uhuru Kenyatta? Yeah. Will you run for political office once again? Of course, why not? Because at the moment, those who are serving in Parliament, especially in Kibwezi, people are complaining because they are underperforming. Because I have already set the bar. You remember? I was the first MP even in Kenya to buy a grader to do roads, and you remember roads were bad saved because of the El Nino. And also I was the first MP to buy a backhoe loader, which does lead to about water. Yeah. All right. So those are your achievements. A lot of achievement, and you know. Remember CDF, we got 6 million, and the second batch was 28 million and 48 million, and now the parliament was dissolved. So you can now imagine somebody who is handling 100 million and he does nothing. Even the tractors were grounded. So we have a lot to talk about, but let me just bring in some of the questions that are coming in. Someone says that is JTI says, ask him what new ideas he has to push the government agenda forward, and what new thing he has brought to the table. You see, in terms of my background, you know, sometimes we went without water, we went without food. So sometimes those experience we have, and we know how we can do better than what we used to do. Because sometimes when I was a councillor, we usually interacted with those workers, water workers, and we know what we can do. You brought in a very interesting point about, you know, you were brought up sometimes without food and water. Let's talk about your childhood. Was it grace to grass or grass to grace? Many people don't know a lot about where you started. You see, okay, I was born in Uganda. In Uganda? In Uganda. And even the name Kalembe was a nickname. Ah, okay. It was because my mother used to take me to Kalembe Hospital, and because I was very small, they called me Kalembe instead of Kalembe because I was. So Kalembe Hospital. Yes, Kalembe Hospital. Okay. Then after Nyerere Aminuo is when our parents decided that we have to go back to Kenya. And you remember my father was a plant operator. They did the Mbarara Tungam Road. So we came to Kenya, and that is how we found ourselves as squatters. Because now even to date I can say, okay, Kalembe has land, but my father is landless. That is why I call myself son of a squatter. Because the squatter is my father, but me I have land.
Let's talk about the struggles you had. You didn't have land. You know, talking about going to school. How was that?
Yeah, it was difficulty because even when I did my Form 4, I had a balance. Then I had to go to work in a transport company in Mombasa by Yusuf Brothers as an office messenger. I was also a loader. Then after getting some little money to clear so that I can get the certificate, I found the school was owned by an Asian and he has already left and there was nobody to respond to my paper. So when I wanted to vie for parliamentary, the requirement was that you have to be a Form 4 leaver.
Yes.
Then I did my O-level in Area High School. That is London GCE international exam. Yeah, that is.
All right. So
and you know, I used to cut charcoal after the closure of school, chul hues, to pay for my school fees.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So many young people right now can relate to what you're talking about. And just before you get to introduce the story to us, maybe a word of encouragement for young people who are really struggling with the same.
Me, I would think I would urge the young people who are educated. They should not look for a certain job. You know, when I was an office messenger. And the boss, I could hear the boss demanding a secretary. I could even interact with him and say, I have a good person. So that, and if I had papers, I could have taken the job. But the problem is that I didn't have good papers. But to me, if you work hard and you have good papers, in that company you can as well get good job. So to me, they should not you have a degree and you can't do this. Me, I have done a lot of job which I think is not my profession, but I try.
You tried.
Like today, I'm here.
Yeah, like you're here, you're just about to read news. Who knows? Maybe we could, Joe Ageo, my managing editor, can employ you. Come on, let's go and see if you can read the news. Let's see if we can get you another job. Apart from just, you know, what you've been able to do. All right, there you go. Have a seat.
Thank you.
So you'll have to introduce yourself to the audience. You know, like how you did it. You know, like how we did it when we started the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that they get to know exactly who you are once again. The guest anchor of the day. But this is a backup of the script that you'll be reading. But we don't want you to read from there. We want you to read from that particular camera, camera 2. So if you can, introduce yourself and take it away. He's going to go slowly.
Thank you. Welcome, viewers. I'm Kalembe Ndile, son of a squatter. As we celebrate the Labor Day, many of you will remember the common saying that any kind of work is work. But would you let your son, husband, work full-time in a graveyard? KTN's Kalembe Ndile now brings us the story. Those men who have thrown their fear out of the window and decided to earn a living by working around those who have left.
Just like any other working person, Martin Okech gets ready for the day ahead, all in a bid to make hay as the sun shines. A few minutes later, he departs for his place of work. This is where he spends most of his daytime, at the cemetery where the dead rest. But first things first, putting his equipment in place, then he puts on his work garments. His work here is to dig graves and sometimes cementing covered graves. But how did he find himself in this kind of job? His dreams of being a lawyer, he says, died after quitting school due to lack of school fees.
Brother Fadangu alikuwa mortuary and cemetery superintendent. Yeye ndiye alikuwa anasimamia huku. Babangu mdogo. Sasa wakati bado mimi wakati shule imefungwa, nilikuwa nikikuja kuomba kibarua na niambia kama kuna kufieka. Hivyo ninakuja ninafieka, kama pale kwa mortuary kuna kupalilia maua, naenda hapo kwa mortuary napalilia maua. Sasa hapo ndio nilianza. Sasa vile nilizidi nikazoea ndio sasa mpaka nikaona tu nimeizoea kabisa.
In a day he digs 2 graves, each taking him between 2 to 3 hours. then embarks on simple available tasks here. He says it's not always that one wakes up to a scheduled task. Sometimes they spend a day with none, but he has never given up. The number of graves he has dug, uncountable, enabling him eke out a living from the dead.
Lakini mimi unaambia kuna kazi mbaya, pesa ni pesa.
Mimi unajua mimi naogopa kazi kama hiyo, naogopa. Lakini kulingana tu vile mapato yake iko, sometimes naona ni kama tu inatusaidia sana kwa hii nyumba.
He's not alone though. Some like him are just casual laborers, while others have been employed. There's a myriad of tasks here, including engraving and grooming the graves. The first grave on this graveyard tracing back to 1901.
Mwanzoni kwa familia hawakuichukulia ikiwa jambo nzuri, lakini baada ya kuona huo mtu anajikimu kimaisha, wakaichukulia ni jambo la kawaida.
Wanaandika hizi Bible 2 kwa siku.
Na hii kuandika hii Bible unalipa pesa ngapi?
Hii inalipisha 4,000 to 5,000. Inalingana na urefu.
Mimi naweza omba kazi permanent kutoka kwa county. Kwa sababu tena tuko na experience, tumeizoea, tunaijua.
So unakuta ni kazi inahofiwa. Wale wachache ambao tunapata ni wako kwa kiwango cha chini zaidi kukubaliana na kazi kama hii. Although kazi yenyewe ni kazi nzuri. Yani kazi tu ya kawaida kama zile kazi zingine.
Most of us do not visit this place so often simply because of its status of isolation and loneliness. But for 15 years, this has been Okechi's place where he earns his daily bread. Kamche Menza, KTN, at the Nakuru North Cemetery, Nakuru County.
Thank you very much, Kamche Menza, for that interesting story. Like you said, kazi ni kazi.
Kazi ni kazi.
Hakuna kazi mzuri, mbaya.
Mbaya. Unaanza njiani upate ingine mzuri. Kwa hivyo unaanza na ile ambao
ile uko nayo. Ile uko nayo sahi. So now, how is the experience? Kusoma news, how was it?
the screen was running fast.
Oh, it was fast. Yes. Madeka, my auto key operator, why now? So it was running fast.
And I'm not used to that.
You're not used to it.
Yes.
But I think you did well. I'll give you
2%.
Let me give you 50%. 50 because I thought you were a bit slow, but with practice I think you can catch up. So maybe if you 2017 ikifika na maneno isende vizuri, I think you can come back and we can train you at a small cost.
Sure.
All right, so you can also tell us how you think he fared, and of course what we've been talking about, his childhood and how he's risen from bottom to top. You can of course tell us your sentiments on this particular interview, and of course on what he has been able to achieve and how he performed tonight. But for now, where do we go now?
we have to have a short commercial break.
Yes, we have to have it.
Watching KTN Friday Briefing.
Well, it's that time of Friday Briefing when we get to learn some difficult English pronunciations. And let me bring in our word master, also known as Willis Ochieng. Willis, it's great to see you this 1st of May. You're looking good, and happy Labor Day because you work so hard.
But I would also say happy Labor Day because you've also been doing, a wonderful work. And in fact, I would just begin by saying you look cool.
Thank you very much, Willis. You look cool too. All right, Willis, let's get straight to our word that we gave our dear Kenyans on the streets. Let's take a look.
Likona. Sioni poa. Haya, likona. Seses. Haya. Likona seses.
Likoinances.
Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance.
Licona. Sises. Mina haya Licona. Licona is Licona is.
Willis, you've heard there. That one was a difficult word. I can't even pronounce that word without stammering. You know, the word that means military observation of a region to locate an enemy. Is it reconnaissance? That's how I would pronounce it.
Well, Betty, the correct or acceptable pronunciation of that word is reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. And we should remember that the British informal word for this one is recce. Recce squad. Recce company. Most people talk of recce, rese, resh, and all that. Recce. And remember, the American informal word is recon. So our word for tonight from the street is reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Not as difficult as it looks. A reconnaissance. Got it, Willis? Let's move on to our second word. Do we say corporation, corporation, when we want to mean a company?
We say corporation. Corporation. That is C-O-R-P-O-R-A-T-I-O-N.
Yes.
Corporation.
Okay, corporation. Got it, Willis. Moving on to another word here. Do we say hectares of land, hectares of land? Which is which?
Hectare. We say hectare.
Hectare.
We have acre and we also have hectare.
Okay, hectare. Got it.
Yes.
Moving on to another word here. Do we say differentiate, differentiate? Which is which, Willis?
Betty, we have the word different. Different. But the verb that you've given me is differentiate. Differentiate. So you have, after differ, then you have the stress. Rentiate. So differentiate.
Wow, differentiate. That one should have been a surprise word. I usually hear a lot of differentiate. Moving on to another word here that a lot of people have been asking. Do we say Windsor, Windsor, Windsor? There's a club here in Nairobi that goes by that particular name. Is it Windsor, Windsor, Windsor? Which is which, Willis?
Betty, I have also heard people talking of Windsor, Windsor, and all those other mispronunciations. The correct pronunciation of that word is Windsor. Windsor.
Windsor. Wow. So Windsor Golf Club, not Windsor as we know it. Windsor. All right, Willis. Moving on to another word here that means a group of actors or dancers. Is it ensemble, ensemble? Which is which?
What you'll hear quite commonly, and that is locally, is ensemble. Ensemble. But the correct pronunciation of that word is ensemble. Ensemble, not ensemble.
All right, ensemble. Is that the same pronunciation as this word? Do we say envisage, envisage, envisage?
Envisage, envisage, envisage.
All right.
But ensemble.
Ensemble. All right, got it, Willis.
What you must remember is we say en route. En route.
En route. En route, ensemble. All right, Willis. Moving on to another word here. Do we say incumbent or incumbent, meaning someone who's still holding office, like the incumbent president, is that MB silent?
what we must avoid in careers of serious communication is saying incumbent. Very common but wrong. Incumbent. Incumbent.
Okay. All right, Willis.
Yes.
All right, we're running out of time. We want to quickly go through our feedback question. Willis, you met someone who had a very difficult pronunciation to them. Which one is it, Willis? Very quickly.
That man Betty called Mohammed Sheikh of Gesonso with his friend Hussein. They surprised me. So they asked me, do we say chief chef or chief chef or what? Anyway, we say chief chef.
Chief
chef, not chef. So we should avoid chief chef.
Okay,
we say chief chef.
Chief chef. Chief chef. That's
not really.
That's a
chief chef.
Chief. All right, Willis, just take us through that again.
Don't worry.
Chief chef. Chief chef.
Chief chef.
All right, a chief chef.
Yes.
Got it, Willis. All right, Willis, finally, what's your surprise word as we wind up?
Well, my surprise word is a bit simple but tricky.
Yes.
We talk of handsome. So and so is handsome.
Yes.
That sound nd, which is a digraph in Kiswahili or other languages, is not in this word. So here, D is not pronounced. We say handsome. Handsome, not hand. Just like grandmother, grandfather, grandchild, granddaughter, grandson, not grandson, and all that. So, handsome.
Handsome. Wow, Willis, that's a nice surprise and a nice way to wind up this edition of Mind Your Language, Willis. It's been great. Chief Chef. Willis, thank you very much. See you again next Friday, God willing.
Anyway, mine is just to remind people it's Willis Ochieng1 on Twitter. Willis Ochieng1.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Willis, the word master, coming to us from Kisumu County, teaching us those difficult pronunciations you can only get him right here on KTN Friday Briefing.
Sport Day, it has been a very good evening and welcome to today's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahizi. Starting us off, confusion surrounds the third leg of the KCB Kenya National Rally Championships, which was scheduled to take place tomorrow in Kajiado. Event sponsor KCB announced this evening that the rally has been cancelled owing to bad weather, while the Kenya Motorsports Federation said that the event has been moved to Sunday. 47 cars were passed to compete, but a scheduled mandatory recce that was scheduled for today could not take place since some of the routes were impassable following a heavy downpour.
As the engineers and mechanics put on final touches on their high-end rally cruisers at a petrol station in Lavington for the third KCB Kenya National Rally Championship, uncertainty and confusion surrounded the event that was scheduled to be held on Saturday in Kajiado County. Confusion started early when the mandatory recce by the respective crews could not take place since the selected routes were impassable thanks to the ongoing rains. In fact, some elite drivers led by Alistair Kavanagh became the first to pull out after learning of some of their fellow competitors getting stuck.
We have a difficulty to cross this river. We've been waiting for a couple of hours so we could drive, we can cross and see the rest of the road.
What happened is that the river down the side of Portland is flooded and they are not able to cross. So we have, and it's not going down. You know, it's not raining here, but I think it's raining in Kajiado. So the river is flooded.
Rally officials, however, moved to water down complaints raised by drivers who felt the decision to postpone the rally was not right. The clerk, of course, changed the route, thereby requiring drivers to do their recce on Saturday before Sunday, which is the new date set for the rally.
We are designing the route to avoid going across that river. So we are going to change the route a bit. So we have moved the event to Sunday.
Everybody is ready for it, so a day wouldn't make a difference. So yeah, if I'm told to do rally on Sunday, of course I'll do.
With the route redesigned, the drivers will take on the course on Sunday the 3rd at 7 a.m. from the steering off stage at KCB Kitengela. However, the event sponsor KCB insists that the third leg remains cancelled, saying should KMSF decide to considers it as a club event. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
And who will carry the day on Sunday morning? That's the question many are asking ahead of one of the most highly anticipated sporting events, the face-off between boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Other than the billions of shillings that is expected to generate, many will be glued to their screens hours before, during and also after that fight.
Here in Las Vegas, fame and fortune are not unusual. But this Saturday's boxing match between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao is expected to generate record-breaking sums, even for Sin City. American superstar Mayweather alone could pocket more than $150 million, making him the highest-paid athlete of all time. Usually known for his arrogant persona, Mayweather is keeping a surprisingly low profile in the days before the event.
It's really not about the money, you know. I mean, some days it's about the money, some days it's not about the money. Like I said before, I'm only human. I can contradict myself. You know, I said that yesterday when I was sitting down, and I continue to say it. You know, I strive to be a perfectionist, but no one is perfect.
The same goes for Philippines native Manny Pacquiao, who could earn $100 million from the fight.
No, yeah, we don't know yet. Let's focus first for the fight, and after that, let's talk about that.
A bit of an outsider on Mayweather's home turf, Pacquiao earns less than his American adversary, even with his many sponsors. Mayweather, on the other hand, has no public sponsors or promoters. His business plan is unlike any other boxer's.
Now, what Mayweather's done is flip that whole concept on its head. He's essentially the promoter, or he acts in that way for each promotion. He pays his opponents a business expense. He has a percentage of every hot dog and t-shirt sold in the arena. He gets part of the foreign rights fee. It's a very unique situation, and it wouldn't be possible without his popularity, without his skill in the ring.
The matchup has set off a media frenzy of unprecedented levels. Mayweather is undefeated in the past 47 fights. Pacquiao is the world champion in 8 categories, and together the two men are considered the best boxers of their generation. This clash of titans doesn't come cheap. It costs $89 just to watch the fight on TV, and the cheapest ticket in the 16,000-seat arena costs $1,500. A member of Mayweather's fan group, the Money Team, Hassan, has his ticket.
Oh man, it's really hard. You got to know somebody, right, to get in. You have to really know somebody to get in.
And who do you know?
Who do I know? I'm Team Money all day, baby. Team Money.
On the black market, ringside seats are going for close to $100,000. Organizers of the event are calling it the fight of the century, but financially, it's shaping up to be the biggest fight ever.
Fight of the century, they call it. Let's see how that match pans out. And with that, we wrap our day's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahisi. Enjoy your night.
It's that time that we do not like as much. Time to wind up this edition of KTN Friday Briefing. Thank you very much for watching, and of course for all your tweets that have come through regarding our guest anchor Kalembe Ndile. Most of you seem surprised that he was able to speak English well, but as you heard, he went back to school after he was able to get some money. A very big congratulations for him for that achievement. And of course, thank you very much for your responses and feedback on Willis the Word Master. The word remains Chief Chef. Chief Chef. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day tonight. My name is Betty Kialo. See you again next Friday, God willing. But do have yourself a lovely weekend.